Hey guys, Duel back again. ASMA couldn't get a video up today because his phone's broken. Well, not all the way broken, but his audio's messed up. So yeah, so his audio doesn't pick up on his phone anymore, but he's gonna try to get out two videos next Friday. So yeah. This is going to be the episode 2 to What If Belle Had a Unique Symbiote, aka Rimuru Tempest. I want to give a shout out to a certain person. This man's. I scrolled through most of his featured channels, and it seems like he has pretty good taste, so I'd go over there and check out what videos and playlists he's made. If you're watching this, yeah. So I gotta go back. Okay. Okay, I just had to finish rewatching my video because it's been like a week since I did it. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start the video now. That day, Belle wakes up. He gets his armor on. It's not this armor, it's just a black cloak. He gets his cloak on and leaves. Most of Belle's life resides in the dungeon, but today he has to go for a checkup with Miss Anna. So he walks into the guild office, and Miss Anna waves to him and smiles. She walks over to him and says, "Hey Belle, so how's the dungeon hunting been?" He says it's been going very well as they begin the checkup. They go into a back room, and Anna has him take off his cloak, leave his pants on. He takes off his shirt, so he takes pretty much everything off but his pants, because the ship is not Anna. So yeah, I'm not telling you the ship either. It could be Anna, because not gonna lie, Anna kind of fine. Okay, so yeah, she sizes him up and gives him his measurements in case he needs to get a set of armor. After doing that, she reads the stat bars. He's been adventuring for around, let's say, a month. Yeah, a month. So, yeah, so he got to the city a month later than he would have to fight the Minotaur. So he's been adventuring for about a month, and she reads his stats. All his stats are S rank. If they could go up to double S rank, they would be, but they're not quite triple S rank yet. Anna says, "How do you get these stats without leveling up first? You've only been an adventurer for a month." He says, "Probably has something to do with the skill I have on my back, Realis phrase. And yes, Rimuru has magic sense, so he can translate words and thought and communication using Great Sage. So, yes, Belle can translate the writing on his back. So he knows he has Realis phrase fast learner. And he also knows he has a shit ton of magic skills that he uses his skill. This is one he got from a monster. It was an invisible monster he had. It's cloak. He cloaks his skills on his back. So right now, only thing she can see is black lightning and Realis phrase. Yeah. So after the checkup, she clears him to floor, I'm gonna say 11. I'm gonna say she clears him for floor 11. Belle thanks her, and he's on his way. Belle's been feeling good lately, so he goes up to the boss room on floor 18, because he's been going down each floor seeing if he can make it, and as he gets to the boss room, the entrance collapses, and he's left there to fight Goliath. He turns around and sees that 3 adventurers and a supporter have blown up the entrance. He looks over and sees a Japanese-looking guy and 2 beastmen, and then the supporter is cloaked. So they expect him to die to the boss, and for them all to kill it with a magic sword they stole. Yeah, and then they steal the stuff, because any adventurer that's able to go to floor 18 must have some good gear on them. But they notice that he doesn't have very good gear, which means he must have one really good weapon. So they're pretty excited as they prep the magic sword and point it at him. He thinks, I probably have a better chance with the boss than the magic sword. He looks at the magic sword and realizes it's a fire magic sword. He thinks to himself and smirks. Fire resistance, am I right? So what he does is he walks over to the people as they think, what is he doing? Most people just go after the boss, not the magic sword. So as he's walking, he gets about, let's say, 3 yards away. So he's 3 yards away as they fire off the magic sword by accident. It burns away his armor, and let's say he had dragon scale pants on, because he used some armor to get some decent. He used the money to get some decent armor, so he decided on dragon scale. He had some dragon scale pants. I'm not trying to strip him of all of his stuff. Give me a break. So yeah, all his clothes burn off, including his shoes, and he's left with his sword. I'm gonna say it's the katana he's holding in this picture. He's left with his sword and his pants. He says, "Are you kidding me? All of my belongings? That was just a dick move." As he looks back and sees all the quartz just melted, now he's pissed. As he uses, does Reaper have any ice skills? I don't think he does. Let's say that black dragon that attacked Lily on the 11th floor. It was a black dragon. Let's say it was an ice dragon. So Belle points at Goliath with one hand and freezes it. Let's say Argonaut kicked in, and he can trigger Argonaut by holding a blade of lightning to his throat and having Rimuru control it. So after triggering Argonaut, he fires it at the dragon, and the ice blast completely freezes Goliath. As he looks at them and says, "You wanna go?" Wait a minute, you don't have a choice. As he kills the 3 adventurers. Because, let's say Great Sage kicked in for a self-defense mechanism. So, they're staring at a red-eyed Belle. So, as it walks up to Lily, I spoiled it. You guys already know it. As he walks up to Lily, he looks at her. He sees that she's a little girl. As he Great Sage deactivates, Lily looks at him in fear, scared for her life, as the red eyes disappear. He looks at her and says, "You gonna get up?" She stands on her feet. Reamer uses, let's say Reamer in this case, because Reamer has control over Slime. Reamer uses Predator on the rubble. Wait, no, let's say Black Lightning, because it's more powerful. Belle uses Black Lightning on the rubble and frees the hole in the cave. And says, "You can leave." He also says you can have their stuff. As she gathers up all the adventurers' equipment, thinking, this guy is crazy. As she leaves. But before she does, Belle says, "Stop. If you want to take that stuff, you're going to have to make a deal with me." She listens, considering the guys had let's say they had an amulet. Let's go with an amulet on them. That's an auto heal amulet. Let's say she really wants to keep it, and she knows he will find it, considering how strong he is. She says, "What's the deal? You be my supporter for the day, and I will let you keep all the stuff that drops." She thinks he just froze Goliath with a single magic attack. So she agrees to it, considering she thinks she can get a decent amount of quartz from it. So Belle smacks the upper half of the body off of Goliath using... Actually, let's just say he used an a growth spell on his sword and made it big enough to where he could swing and cut Goliath in half. He cut the top part off of Goliath, it died, and then the core dropped. Let's say the core was about as big as Belle. So he used a shrink spell and puts it in and has Lily carry it. It's actually, no. Let's say he put it in his pocket because it weighed the same as it would. It's just smaller. Yeah. So after killing Goliath, he says, "We should probably turn back." They turn back, and on every floor going up, He slaughters every monster he comes across. Lily picks up, let's say, around 4,000 cores. So she takes the core, puts them in her bag, and thinks, this guy is what's the right word? Monster. Yeah, let's go with monster. By the way, Belle has, let's say, a strong cryokinesis with his ice spells. He has a strong chronokinesis. Let's say the Goliath, because of his healing ability, I'm going to say it was a rewind time ability in his own body. So let's say he has a small amount of chronokinesis magic, which is time magic. Let's say he got a short-range teleportation spell from a monster. He got strength, like 50 strength enhancers and speed enhancers from eating stuff like minotaurs. So Belle can probably punch a hole in the dungeon right now and summon a floor boss. Yeah. Making Belle overpowered in this one. So yeah, after picking up around 4,000 magic cores, they head up to the surface. Belle used shrink magic on all the cores and put them in a small bag, but he has to hold them in his hand because otherwise they'd explode all over the ground. By the way, every time he walks, he leaves a small crater in each foot. That happens, yeah. So as he's walking, the craters are happening now the concrete has legit footprints in it. As he walks into the guild building, he nearly falls he nearly falls through the floor. As he says, Miss Anna, this is gonna make a big mess. Can you clear this place out? She's thinking, Belle has a lot less cores than he usually does today. All he has is that small sack. And where'd he get the supporter from? So she goes to a back room and says, okay, Belle, now what? As he reverses the shrink spell on, like, as he reverses the shrink spell on one core and says, I shrunk down a lot of magic cores in this bag, and says, there are 4,000, and I did not kill Behemoth. I'm just gonna reverse that because she doesn't know he went to 18. So, yeah. So, she tells him that he tells her that he has 4,000 magic cores in here. She's thinking, 4,000? As she clears out the entire guild hall, and then he unshrinks the bag as it fills the entire guild hall. So they have to count the cores now as they come across the behemoth core. They say, Belle, did you go down to floor 18? He's thinking, crap, how do they know? Great Sage says, well, you see, behemoth has a very specific core. It's always the same size, which means that it's likely that the Loki guild has brought in a good amount of these cores. He says, oh shit. As Miss Anna looks at him with a pretty pissed off glare. He says, well, I killed it. She blows it off and says, well, it doesn't look like you're injured, which means you did, in fact, kill it. Oh yeah, and Belle ate the adventurers' bodies too. That way there was no evidence. Lily thinks to herself, if he makes this much money in one day with a supporter, then she might want to stick with him if she ever wants to get out of the Soma Familia. So she does the job, not wanting to stay in the Soma Familia for the rest of her life. As Miss Anna says, so this is your new supporter? I'm glad you finally got one. As she says, and how did you kill Behemoth? You're level 1. She looks at Belle. Lily looks at Belle and says, what? There's no way a level 1 killed 4,000 monsters in one day. And the speed. Lily thinks, how is he level 1? How? Mind you, Belle has not gone into his Tempest form. So yeah, Belle has not gone into Tempest form yet. He's saving that for a big thing. Miss Anne has come to expect this kind of thing from Belle, so she just blows it off as he's just a monster. After that, they count up the courts, and Belle now has 20 million Valis. Yeah. Yeah. He gives 10 million to Lily because split 50-50. Lily right away buys her way out of the Sum of Amelia with 5 million Valis. Now she's no longer indebted to anybody, and she can, in fact, just leave Belle alone. But she saw that in one run, when he wasn't even starting on the first floor and going up from 18. Who knows how many monsters he killed on the way down? He got over 15 million Valis. So she keeps her 5 million and puts it in her gnome deposit box after trading it for crystals. Yeah. And after that, Belle goes home to Poseidon and gives her 9,900,000 Valis. She looks at it and says, "Who'd you rob?" Because she hasn't seen Belle in action. He says, "I didn't rob anyone, I got a supporter. She helped me pick up the cords." "Are you saying you kill this much on a daily basis?" "Oh no, I split it 50-50 with her." She looks at Belle and slaps her, face palms herself. "You split 50-50 with a person who just picks up magic cores. She's half the team. I thought it was fair." She respects how honorable Belle is as she takes the money and says, "Are you sure with splitting it this way?" He says, "Yes, you're my goddess. You deserve it. You took me in when no one else would." And then she comes back to that fact and says, "How is that so? You're this strong. Why would nobody else take? Was I the person to find you?" As he says, "I hid my true form. I didn't want a god to accept me for my power, but for my heart." She smiles and then gives Belle a kiss on the cheek and says, "You really are pure-hearted, aren't you?" He blushes and says thanks. As he goes to the hostess of fertility, the restaurant where she works, and sits down with Lily. He invited her to dinner, along with Poseidon. He orders them all pasta with red sauce, and he pays, like a gentleman. After that, he gives Mamma Mia 10,000 Valis. Not 10,000, 29,000 Valis was a lot. So I'm going to say he gives her 20,000 Valis and says, "Here, this is in case we ever need her on our own. This is okay?" She says, yes, it is, considering this is just in case." Mamma Mia happily accepts and says, "You know, you just became our favorite customer." He smiles and says, "Well, thanks." As Rimuru then eats 4 bowls of pasta with red sauce when everybody else ate one, he says, "What, I'm eating for 2. He then hushes up and says, and Lily asks, "What do you mean? Are you pregnant?" He says, "Let's go with that." Rimuru inside punches him in the head. "I'm not a child." Yep. Belle starts to laugh, but not realizing he's doing it in the outside world too. He laughs, and everybody's weirded out by this, but he stops quickly. And they high five inside Belle's head, along with Great Sage. Great Sage is a woman, by the way. Yes, she's a Japanese woman in a black kimono with black hair. I don't have a picture right now, but yeah. Oh yeah, you like the thumbnail I made? Didn't put too much effort into it, but I found a really good photo edit app. So yeah, I have a thumbnail. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, he ate 4 bowls of pasta. After they were weirded out by dinner, he takes them all to a public bathhouse. Actually, no. I forget his name. What's the Japanese looking god? That guy. He pays him. He's given out around. Let's say he's used 40,000 Valis Because, no, let's say he probably used around. Let's say everybody's dinner cost 10,000 bells, so he's used 30,000 bells. He gives the Japanese god, I forget his name, he gives the Japanese god 10,000 bells in order to let him use their bathhouse for the night. And he realizes that he's going to be the only male there. He accepts this and just relaxes in the bath. The girl, Poseidon and Lily gossip. Wait, no, Poseidon and Lily gossip about, and then Lily says, so where'd Belle get to such strong ice magic? She says, ice magic? What do you mean? What do you mean, what do I mean? He used ice magic in the dungeon. The only magic I've ever seen him have is lightning magic. Oh, his black lightning? Yeah, that. Apparently, he also has a freeze ray. She thinks, is this because of him? And then remembers back to this armor that stepped out of Belle. She says it's probably just because of his partner. He has a partner? Yeah, it's an amulet with a mind that he keeps on his person at all times. She says, that's cool. Thinking of stealing it, but then realizes he's over fucking powered. And then blows it back off. Now what? Yeah. So they're gossiping in the bathhouses. Belle falls asleep in the tub. He's passed out there. Yeah. Okay. So, Poseidon and Lily leave thinking that Belle's already gone. They leave, and Belle falls asleep in the tub as the Japanese girl who wears the kimono and loves the bathhouse walks in thinking that everybody's left. She sees the muscular man's in the bathtub as she walks over to try to wake him up, seeing that he has his eyes closed. He opens his eyes, and it's Great Sage, thinking he's unconscious. I figured he wouldn't want anybody messing with his body. Because let's say Great Sage is intelligent, so she has the comprehension of feelings, just not very good with them. She will do merciless shit. Yeah. So Great Sage opens Belle's eyes and says, "Do not disturb." No, she opens his eyes and looks at her as she jumps back and tries to reach for her sword, but realizing it's not on her hip, she felt that a monster was in him. As he realizes Belle wakes up because his head moved, not hitting. So he wakes up and says, "Great Sage, I got this." He closes his eyes and his eyes are back to red, but not Great Sage red, his normal eye color. So yeah, his eyes are back to his normal eye color, and he says, "Well, sorry about that," as he gets up and realizes he doesn't have any pants on. The towel he was wearing slipped away while he fell asleep. Yeah, so after that, he uses his short-range teleportation ability to teleport to the locker room and put his fucking clothes on. Yeah, after putting his clothes on, he heads back to the house where Lily and Poseidon are getting drunk. And then Belle looks and says, "When did Lily get in our familia?" Because Poseidon and Lily did the thing while they were drunk. Yeah, Poseidon accidentally put Lily in her familia while she was drunk. Lily says, "I'm fine with it, yeah." Belle's saying, "Okay, even though you're hammered." Yeah. Hammered. So yeah. After that, Belle says, "Lily, you can use the guest room. We'll get you a room in the morning. We'll set up your room in the morning." As that's where we're gonna call the episode. I'm gonna go get the thank you for watching thing real quick. I honestly don't care if you see anything in here. I don't have any I don't have any more thumbnails made. What is on pins? Oh yeah, this is a bunch of stuff for the Beast King not Beast King, re-equip Bell. But I don't think I'm gonna continue that series because it wasn't very popular. Well, guys, thank you for watching, and duel out. We are Ace and What Ifs. Like and subscribe, and comment if you want me to continue or discontinue any series. Yeah. Bye. ¿Cómo estás?